Hello everyone, this is ACHAI Akaya, and this is game 2 in the gearv0sh versus KillerPlague matchup. And as you did see in the last game, if you watched it, between these two, KillerPlague actually won the first game on Lost Temple. He, of course, is playing as the pink Protoss in the top right-hand corner of the map here. In this map is going to be Broken Steps, which is just a two-player map. And then in the lower left here, we do have gearv0sh playing as the purple Terran. And once again, this map is very, very small, or at least the rush distance by ground is very short, as there are basically is a direct path from the lower left to the upper right. There's not really any obstacles or anything like that that get in your way from getting from one base to the other. So cheese strategies and rush strategies very common on this map. Although it doesn't look like either player is going to be going for anything like that, because as you did notice just a second ago, gearv0sh was putting his first supply depot down at the entrance to his base, and it looks like KillerPlague is going to come up here and do a little bit of scouting with his probe. His first pylon has gone down inside his base as well, so it doesn't look like there's going to be any proxy gateways or anything like that. Although even building these gateways in your base and going for a heavy zealot rush early on can still be somewhat powerful, although it's a little bit more difficult to pull it off against a Terran player, just because as you can see here, they can do the wall off, which one more supply depot here and that will complete this wall off for gearv0sh, which will prevent any ground units from getting into this base very easily. And it looks like the SCV for gearv0sh is out scouting around. There is an assimilator going down for KillerPlague right now, so he is once again going to be going for those cyber core units pretty quickly here. It looks like last game he went for one cyber core, one gateway, and then went cyber core immediately after that before building any additional gateways. So it looks like he is starting to go a similar build. We'll see if that's how it progresses as the game moves on here. But moving back to the base of gearv0sh, he has put down his first refinery now. And it looks like he is just starting his orbital command center, has not yet finished the wall off at the front of his base, and it looks like he's actually going to be moving his barracks off. So he's going to be trying to wall off strictly with supply depots possibly. Or no, I'm sorry, it looks like he actually was just moving the barracks so that he could create that add-on as the third building to complete this wall off. So rather than using the bulk entrance of, or I'm sorry, the bulk side of the barracks as part of the wall off, he has decided to use the tech lab as part of the wall off, which is actually the same size as a supply depot, and you can do a 3 supply depot wall off here. So rather than using the barracks, he used the attachment and the 2 supply depots in addition to that. But he does have a second barracks going up in his main base as well now, so it looks like we may see a very similar infantry build from him this game as well. The orbital command is finished, and he does have one mule out right now. So looking at the income tab, we can see that both players are pretty close as of right now. It looks like they're both floating in the 600 to 700 range, right in there. So no huge advantages yet. And once again, you can see, despite the difference in harvesters, there is a very, very similar income level for both players because of the mule for gearv0sh right now. And it looks like he is putting down his second refinery right now, and at the same time the second assimilator has finished for KillerPlague. So both players going for a lot of gas somewhat early on here, it looks like. And it looks like he did get the cyber core before putting down his second gateway here, so he has got 2 gateways in a cyber core. I would imagine that we'll see him go into the robotics facility here shortly if he is going to go for the similar build that he did last time. And there it is right there. So very similar build as last game. I guess KillerPlague's mentality at this point is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So since he was able to win with his strategy last game, he is going to continue with the exact same strategy. And it looks like gearv0sh completely bypassing building any Marines and just goes straight for Marauders. He's got 4 Marauders on the map right now. Although I don't know if that's going to be enough to take on the army. It looks like he's moving out, although he's stopped short. No, he is going to continue to push across the map. I don't think that's going to be enough to take on all the Stalkers, Zealots, and Sentries at the base of KillerPlague. But if we look at the production overlay here, we can see that Warp Gate is being researched right now, and it looks like that's only about 1/3 of the way done. So he is actually going to be at a little bit of a production disadvantage right now, while these Marauders are moving up in here, although there is enough units to hold this off. And of course with the Sentry throwing down some force field, they're going to be able to prevent these Marauders from pushing up into his base. And it looks like one of those Marauders already lower than half health at this point, so he's going to have to back off and continuing to produce some more Marauders. But it looks like there is one Immortal coming out for KillerPlague right now, so his response to these armored Marauders is going to be the Immortals right now. So we'll see how that plays out, because of course Immortals move extremely slow when they've been hit by those concussive shells, although they do only take 10 damage from them. But it looks like another barracks going up here and a factory, so it looks like gearv0sh is now starting to work his way to the starport tech so he can get some medevacs overhead to heal this infantry army. And of course the Ghost Academy is up and running here, and it looks like he is going to have the ability to do some EMP work here, which of course is very, very useful against the Protoss army. As we noted last game, there are already 2 ghosts on the map right now, but it does not look like they have enough energy to cast an EMP, and this is a very scary Protoss army moving out against the very few Marauders. There's only it looks like, actually let's check the unit overlay here, it looks like there's only 8 Marauders and 2 ghosts, which if those 2 ghosts get enough energy for EMP, which it looks like both of them just now have enough energy, it is going to be much more difficult for KillerPlague to break down this entrance. And I think his window of opportunity has run out. If he would have pushed up when he initially came, I think he could have easily outnumbered gearv0sh, but at this point he has lost that window of opportunity. It looks like they are going to move out here, try to get some EMPs off possibly. I did not see yeah, no, I'm sorry, they did not get any EMP off. I didn't think I saw the graphic on there, but it looks like gearv0sh has actually opted to put up a bunker at his entrance as well. So going to throw a couple Marauders in there to help with defending this choke point at his ramp. And once again, there is an observer for KillerPlague overhead, so that is a huge advantage for him and attacking this choke, because of course he no longer needs to have units up at the top of his ramp to see the units that are up there. Oh, and getting a great force field off, trapping all of gearv0sh's infantry with the exception of 2 ghosts, it looks like, outside of his base, and he is not able to run them back up in there. So he loses a lot of units very, very fast there, unfortunately for him. And if we take a look at the units lost tab, you can see that gearv0sh has definitely lost more units, and he says nice. He is aware that he was indeed bested in that last encounter. But anyway, that force field right there showing you just how powerful that ability can be when used properly, and it was used here in an offensive manner. Usually you see a lot of players using it defensively to create barriers at their chokes while they need a few more seconds to just crank out those last couple units to help in defense. But in this point, we saw him use it offensively to trap the units that had wandered just a little bit too far outside of his base, so that they were extremely vulnerable to this Protoss army. And it looks like he is actually massing up a pretty large army here right now. 3 Immortals, and it looks like 10 Stalkers and 1 Sentry. So a pretty good amount of units sitting out here, and he is streaming more units across the map constantly. And it looks like, if you did notice that scan sweep going down, he is going to be aware that KillerPlague is expanding right now. And his response is going to be putting up a command center. He is once again building the command center in his main base. Looks like he is going to fly that off. Now, one thing to note is that the base in the lower right corner here, this expansion is actually guarded by a set of destructible rocks. So if he decides to go for that, then he may be easily defended. Although it looks like there is a big battle going on at the entrance of gearv0sh's base right now. A couple of medevacs out right now trying to heal all these infantry units, but there are so many Protoss units, and somehow he has actually managed to take a lot of them down. I did see 1 EMP. I'm not sure if he got off more than that, because I know he did have a couple of ghosts. But it looks like he is actually going to possibly be able to hold this off, bringing up one of the supply depots